So we just checked out The Darkest Hour, not the 2011...
Darkest Hour. Let's not ever bring up that 2011 movie ever again.
Ugh.
No, we did just check out Darkest Hour, and
Let's not talk about it for an hour.
what? Darkest Hour is the new film by director Joe Wright, who is just coming off the back of the Pan film.
Is this Canada?
And it follows the story of basically how Winston Churchill handled his first month in office. And playing Winston Churchill, we have Gary Oldman, who is just beyond unrecognizable. There was never a point in this movie where I saw Gary Oldman. I mean, obviously there's all this makeup covering him and the costumes and all, you know, all of that works fantastic. But as an actor, he genuinely has transformed into something beyond himself. And I just, that is the kind of draw card of this film. But the film is so good because Joe Wright, as a director, has taken this film to another level. His directing is so good, it almost overshadows Gary Oldman.
Yeah, we don't just have the story of Winston Churchill in office here. I mean, we've got a beautiful story. I mean, like, it's a grueling story as well about pretty much almost the collapse of the United Kingdom during World War II as Hitler was invading Europe. And it is fantastically directed and, of course, led by this phenomenal performance by Gary Oldman. It is just breathtaking watching him on screen. You will not see Gary Oldman at all. Not once. I kid you not once.
And the film as a whole, while as someone who was not alive at the time and is Australian, so they're not too familiar with the history here, I do get that as a biopic, this movie might kind of play things safe, and some people may have issues with the presentation of things. But as looking at this completely from a film perspective, as an actual movie, as a piece of cinema, this is an astoundingly well-made film on every level. This is actually one of the technically strongest films of the year. Not only is the cinematography by Bruno Del Bonello just absolutely incredible, jaw-dropping, shot after shot in this, I would go as far as saying is iconic. The raw level of creativity between him and director Joe Wright is absolutely just incredible. I'm truly stunned by it. But the production design, the makeup and hairstyling, the costuming, everything about this movie on a 10, even the editing. It has some of the most creative editing decisions we've seen this year, and editing for emotion, putting two shots next to each other, that the initial shot doesn't have an effect on its own, but when paired with the second shot, has an emotional punch. It is just a creatively brilliant movie, and I hope it actually gets recognized for that beyond a film that acts as a vehicle for this super-powered Gary Oldman performance.
This film, in many ways, almost kind of feels like a passion project. It feels like a film that's been trying to get made for a long time, just because of the level of creativity that is shown in every single area. Everything feels incredibly well thought out. Joe Wright here goes ahead, and instead of creating big battle scenes to kind of show the war, he will find a way to select footage, be very specific so you get everything you need. Instead of, essentially recreating a battle scene, which is something he has done before, which he did in Atonement, here he actually uses different styles of working around that. I mean,
such creative.
I don't want to spoil things, but he uses some practical effects. There's definitely some miniatures used here as well. He just finds a way to, instead of selling his film out to a degree and using VFX, which a lot of films do these days, he uses practical stunts, which is just fantastic.
And when we say practical stunts, we're talking about it's almost like stunt directing. Some of this, and not in like a brash kind of trying too hard way. I think this film is just laser focused on telling a story in the most effective way possible. The camera just charges through scenes and pushes in on actors and goes these overhead twisting. It honestly is the kind of film that I would really enjoy breaking down. The way he just composes scenes so that characters feel like they're way in over their head, like they're small in this world around them. The weight of it is crushing them. The amount of just creativity here, I mean, we cannot stress enough just how brilliant brilliant this movie is. And I think a lot of that comes from having a filmmaker who's happy to go and just try new things and go all out. And I think it really works. And what I want people to do is to appreciate that, because it's quite easy to make a film like this with a performance like this, with a role written as strongly as this, and just kind of have a sloppy film that's put together and built around showcasing a performance. But this film is so much more than that. Yes, it has this brilliant performance at its core, and great performances all around from actors including Lily James, Kristen Scott Thomas, and Ben Mendelsohn. But the entire film as a whole is just a brilliant piece of filmmaking. And while I say that we cannot necessarily attest for the quality of the story being depicted in terms of historical accuracy or whatnot, because it's things that we don't know about, as a film, and that is what we're in it for, this film really, really delivers so much, and it actually ended up becoming a very, very inspiring watch. I honestly watched this film with my mouth hanging open the entire time, because I was so stunned at the precision and, again, just the creativity it is constructed with. Joe Wright and the writers here are able to find times where they enter a scene with different characters and then have Winston Churchill enter the scene in a way that is unconventional. And through that, we see those little moments in between the big speeches, those kind of bigger moments, the big interactions. It's those little moments that he shares with his wife, his family, his assistants, the moments when he's not necessarily center stage, when the character is really allowed to shine. And that's where some of this film's best moments are offered, when it takes away all of the grandeur and kind of brings it down to the street level. And there are scenes in this which are just stunning, and I think overall just the whole film is. The soundtrack as well, we have to mention, incredibly inventive, and just really, really gave the film a strong momentum, and emotional momentum as well. I'm not saying this film's necessarily going to get you to tear up or cry. It may do, but it has a really, really strong kind of, I don't know, I just got really invested in it. I think most people that watch this movie will, just because it is a really well-constructed movie, and we just cannot stop stressing that enough.
Oh, for sure. And especially when you've got a film that's so much about words and talking and stuff like that, it can, often films with a lot of, heavy dialogue scenes, they'll get buried in them and you kind of get bored. But here, you're constantly entertained. Like, I was more entertained than the amount of, blockbusters I've seen this year, or big, boring action films.
This was
from
just
Hollywood.
riveting.
You're sitting there and you're invested and engrossed in this film the entire time.
So hopefully everything we've said about this movie speaks for itself. We are really, really wrapped with it. But if we're going to put a number on this, we're both going to give this film a 9.2 out of 10. We don't think it's necessarily a perfect movie, but it is one that is really, really stunning.
A terrific, terrific watch.
So that was our review of Darkest Hour. Have you seen it yet?
Did you like it?
Did you hate it?
Did you like this video?
Of course you
Crave
did.
more banter.
If so, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel down there somewhere.
And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, all at Breaking Banter.